Good evening, everyone, and good evening, and welcome again to this this wonderful Make Everyday Payday webinar. Every day can be payday webinar. This is a generic webinar, and it is hosted by none other than a multiple seven-figure earner with the heart is bigger than Texas. T. Lamont Silver Sr. Come on board, T. Lamont.
All righty. Thank you so much, Queen. I appreciate you taking those introductions, and people were still coming on. Good to have each and every one of you here on tonight. I'm really pleased to see our global audience, folks all the way from Russia and several Australias I heard, Jamaica, so on and so forth. Fantastic. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Now, tonight, this webinar, ladies and gentlemen, we're not talking about any specific companies. If you are a guest, you were driven to this webinar so you can find out about a compensation model that has become very, very popular over the past couple of years. It allows representatives, distributors, promoters, whatever you want to call we that are out here building a business to make money every single day, even if you're not good at recruiting or sponsoring or selling. I do need you to understand that every day can be payday is a concept, not a company. We're not a specific company. What we are is we're a team of entrepreneurs that are leveraging and then teaching others to leverage this revolutionary revenue-sharing compensation model. So let's give you a little background, a little historical reference here. We've been in the industry, my lovely wife and I, 19 years now. Like most people, we struggled early on in the business world, in the work-at-home niche. We weren't good at recruiting, weren't good at sponsoring. It took us a while to develop that skill set. And so the first 4 or 5 years, we didn't really fare well in the industry. Many of you can probably identify with that. We then finally hit our stride. We had some great leaders in our lives, and we finally hit our stride. And, you know, we always imagined hitting that $10,000 a month U.S. dollar mark in this industry. Laura, if we could ever get to 10 grand a month, we thought we'd be at the pinnacle. We thought we'd be at the mountaintop. And we finally got there. It took us a long time, but we finally got there. And what we were not prepared for, Sharon, was the empty feeling that we had, knowing that while we were making money, the overwhelming majority of our teammates were not. That all changed a couple of years ago when we stumbled upon, tripped over, bumped into this type of compensation model. So that's what we're here to do a little training on tonight. The reason I love this webinar, this is my favorite webinar. We do a lot of webinars each week. This is my favorite one that we do because I get to, by being generic, I get to really give you some insight and share some stories with you to really open this up to you. Now, the work-at-home niche, excuse me, is a very powerful niche. It allows people from all walks of life to build additional income streams at their own pace. So we love this niche. I'm a college kick-out. I was delivering pizzas, 6400 East Independence Boulevard in Charlotte, North Carolina, and that's when I ran into this industry. Now, all of a sudden, we've been able to build 4 7-figure businesses, building a 5th as we speak right now. So I love that, but here's the challenge that we have, and I want this to be as interactive as we possibly can. The challenge with this space is somebody has to buy something in order to generate revenue, or somebody has to recruit a team of people that have people to buy something in order to generate revenue. So whether you are a traditional multi-level marketer, network marketer, or you are an affiliate marketer, you're not building a team, you're just promoting products to maybe ClickBank or ClickBooth or what have you. In order to generate revenue in this industry, somebody's got to make a sale somewhere. And so the challenge is most people are not good at recruiting, most people are not good at sponsoring, and most people are not good at selling. If you have ever felt like either one of these folks, I want you to put a yes in your questions box. Young lady, she's tried, she's read all the good books, she's listening to all the good audio, she's working on her personal development, and still people are not joining her, or she's having a tough time making sales. If that's you, if you can identify with that, put a yes in your questions box. Or the dude at the bottom, he's just downright, he's not frustrated, he's angry. Why? Because he went to a webinar, Or he went to an offline workshop, and they said, if you pay $500, $1,000, $2,000, we're going to teach you the secrets that only the top internet marketers or network marketers know. And then he paid the $1,000, the $2,000, the $3,000. He got great information, tried to implement it, and he still can't get anybody to join him. He still is having a problem generating enough sales to make it worthwhile. If you feel like him, Queen.
How about if you feel like both, T. Lamont?
Well,
so
let me tell you, ladies. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to share tonight is the solution to this dilemma. This compensation model that we stumbled upon a couple years ago is the solution. Again, Every Day Can Be Payday is not a company. We are just a team of entrepreneurs that stumbled upon this solution, and we want to share it with anyone who's willing to listen. Okay, now let's talk about this compensation model, how it works. What happens with the companies that employ this model is they take the bulk of their commissionable revenue, and they put that commissionable revenue in a pool. And the companies that have figured this out the best tend to share as much as 50%, sometimes even more, of their daily commissionable sales volume. But unlike other compensation models that tend to be top-heavy, if you're really good at recruiting, you make a lot of the money. If you're really good at selling, you make a lot of the money. But then if you're not good at recruiting or selling, there's not much for you, okay? This model is different. It's the fairest model that we've ever seen. The reason is that the company shares its revenues with all qualified affiliates. Some companies refer to their folks as distributors or promoters. If I say affiliates, Queen, or promoters, or reps, or distributors, I'm talking the same. You and me simply trying to take care of our family and make some extra money to take care of our family. So what the company does, it puts up to 50%, sometimes even more, of its daily revenues into a pool, and the qualified affiliates receive their proportionate share of the company's payout. Now, the beautiful part is the companies that have figured this out the best do not require that you have to recruit other promoters, other affiliates, other distributors, or reps in order for you to earn daily. And so now what this means is that every day can be what, Queen?
It can be payday, T. Lamont.
It can be payday. It can be payday. Now, normally what happens is in order to receive your day's reward from your company, you'll have one, maybe two tasks each and every day that you'll need to complete. But these tasks typically require very little time. As a matter of fact, for those of you that are either leveraging a model like this now or you've leveraged one in the past, open up your questions box and tell me roughly how much time per day does it take you to qualify for your company's daily reward? Tell me in your questions box. Someone saying less than 5 minutes, 3 minutes, less than 5, 2 minutes, 4 minutes. So listen, even if you are a brain surgeon, very busy, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Even if you are a man or woman of the cloth, even if you are a politician, I don't know if you'd want to be that here in the U.S., but even if you were, you're busy, Queen. That's the point. You're a homemaker. You got the children.
Yes,
you're busy. All right. You can take out 3, 5, maybe 10 minutes a day if that activity is going to generate daily revenue for you. And so typically it's as simple as that. Now, there might be, as you build up your daily revenues, there might be some additional qualifications to make larger amounts of income. I know of one company, for instance, a Queen, based on how they're paying right now. Once you get to about $200, $250 a day, you might need to do just a little bit more. Might take an extra 3 or 4 minutes or so. You okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
You okay with that? Okay. All right. Now, what happens is affiliates, promoters, reps, distributors, they earn their proportionate share of the company's revenue, the amount that the company is paying out that day, by obtaining what we call points or credits, revenue sharing credits or revenue sharing points. I may say points, I may say credits, they're interchangeable. Now, some of your companies out there might even call them units or other things, but typically we refer to them as points or credits. Now, there's typically a few ways that you can generate points or you can generate credits. One is, let's say a customer comes to your site and they purchase some product, all right? Now, the beautiful part is normally one of your tasks with some of these companies out here is that you're placing an ad every day to promote your company. So it could be that you have a customer that stumbles upon your ad, or some of you might be involved in certain co-ops designed to get customers, or some of you may have systems where you can essentially purchase customer registrations. So if someone trips over your ad, sees your company's product or service, likes the company's product or service, and then whips out a credit card and makes a purchase, in some cases, depending on the company, for every dollar spent by your customer, you may earn a point. You may earn a point, okay? So let's say John Smith goes to your site, makes a $100 purchase. If you're with a company that operates like this, I'm painting with a broad stroke, not all of them will. He makes a $100 purchase, you just earn 100 revenue sharing credits or 100 revenue sharing points. Now, one of the things that these companies that have figured this out the best do is they allow you and me, this is the second way to earn points, this is actually the way that you can control the most. They allow you and me, the rep, the distributor, the promoter, the affiliate, they allow us to purchase samples of their products. And when we give those samples away to our customers, we earn more points. We earn more credits. Let me give you an example. We've seen companies in this industry that had an auction model where they had like a penny auction model. You might be familiar with Qubits. Not that Qubits had this model, but some of you are familiar with that penny auction model. We've seen companies in this industry that had a penny auction model like a Qubits. And you as a rep or an affiliate might purchase bids, give those bids away to your customers so your customers could come into the auction and hopefully win some things. We've seen companies that have products that like skincare products or weight loss products or energy products where you could actually purchase samples of the product and give away those samples. So if you purchase $100 worth of samples to give away some weight loss products to see if your customers might like them and come back and buy some more, well, you would earn 100 points or 100 credits. So the beautiful part about this model, it really provides a phenomenal customer acquisition model. Your company, Queen, your company, Stephen, your company, Susan, Quentin, your company wants not only you as an affiliate to be involved, they want customers.
Yes.
They want a bunch and a bunch and a bunch of customers. So what they do is they reward you and me when we give samples of their products or services away. The whole idea is they know the more samples we give, the more samples we give, the more samples we give, the more potential there is that those customers on the back end will like the product or service and come back and buy more and more and more. And so the beautiful part of this is that you can typically register customers for free. Give them the samples. Now, they may have to cover something like shipping and handling depending on the company if they're having products shipped to them. But here's the thing. Do you have to be good at recruiting or sponsoring or selling to give away a 30-day weight loss sample?
No.
Like you got to, oh, no.
No.
All you got to do is look at your family tree. You know, if your company has products like that, not all companies have products like that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the part in the presentation where I like to come really clean. And I hope by now you have figured out our heart that we want to help a lot of people all across the globe to generate a lot of revenue, even if they're not good at recruiting or sponsoring or selling. But this is the time in the webinar where I need to be a little bit more transparent. I pray that by now that you've heard enough to where you won't hold what I'm about to share with you against me. Queen, I'm 42 years young, and most of my adult life I have had a thorn in my side. I have had an addiction. I've had a pretty heavy addiction. And
Okay.
Queen, so my name is T. Lamont Silver Sr., and I am a smoothie and slushy-aholic. I am, Queen. I am.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Now, I knew I was drinking way too many smoothies. All right, little
Oh.
comic relief there for you. But you know, there are times, Queen, I might have 3 big gulp slushies from 7-Eleven, as
Okay.
an example. Not good, not good, not good.
Mm.
All right, so
No.
I had weaned myself from slushies and smoothies for quite some time, and then my family and I, we were traveling. We love to travel. My little girl, she's 5 years young. She was probably let me see, was this last year? This last year? A year and a half ago. She was 3.5, but she recognized the golden arches, Queen.
Of course.
We were traveling.
Every child recognizes.
Yeah. She said, Dad, French fries. So I stop. I go to McDonald's. I go in so that we can get back on the road because we were traveling a little distance. And Queen, they were giving away mango pineapple smoothies. I haven't had a smoothie in a few months, and they were giving that away as a sample. And guess what I did, Queen?
You took a sample, Tila.
Yes,
You
I
tasted
took a
it.
sample. I took a sample. And when I finished that sample, Queen, guess what I did?
You went and bought one.
I bought one.
Then you bought another one.
Yeah, then I bought another one. Then I bought another one. And
Hopefully not in the same day.
well, no, I didn't. But I came back like a day or two later.
Oh, okay.
A day or two after that. And then again, I bought another one. And
Yes,
then
of course.
lastly, what did I do, Queen?
You told somebody else about it, Tila, and bought them one too.
Yeah, I got one for my wife. Oh, babe, oh my gosh, you got to taste it. Got them for the kids.
Yeah.
Told my brother-in-law, man, you got to get you a mango pineapple smoothie. Now, my point is this, ladies and gentlemen, the idea of sampling is not new to the home business industry. As a matter of fact, it's really quite successful. If we take a look at this chart, Queen, you're going to see some of the top companies in our home business industry that produce the most revenues. Avon is number one. They've been around since 1886. So, Queen, don't you let anyone tell you that this work-at-home space, this network marketing space, this direct selling space doesn't work. They've been around since 1886.
Yes.
They do $11.3 billion a year, which is about $358 a second. Okay? Well,
that's pretty good.
Think about it. How many of you have ever had an Avon rep give you a sample? Maybe it was the fragrance. Maybe it was something with skincare or what have you. Most of us probably know someone, if not ourselves, that's got an Avon sample. Amway, they do $9.2 billion a year. Many of you have gotten samples from someone who's promoting Amway. Herbalife, Queen, here in Central Florida, there's a team of folks that actually have a office at a shopping center, and when I go and I pick up some chicken wings right beside them, they'll normally be outside giving away some weight loss pills. All right, samples.
As you eat
Mary,
chicken wings.
give me a weight loss pill while I'm eating my chicken wings. Mary Kay. If you've ever been to a Mary Kay event where they did the facial and what was that? It was a sample.
Yes.
It was a sample, so we know that sampling works. So here's an example, and then we're going to get into the numbers and share with you some powerful testimonies of this model. Let's say that Sally, affiliate, is with ABC Company. She has the wherewithal to buy $1,000 worth of her company's products and give them away as samples to our customers. Now, we would only want Sally to purchase $1,000 or $100 or $2,000 or whatever your company will allow if she has the resources. Please don't go out and hurt yourself and wind up borrowing a lot of money. Don't do that. This should be with discretionary funds. So Sally's got $1,000. It's not going to hurt her to make that purchase, and she gives that $1,000 worth of product value away. She receives 1,000 credits or 1,000 points for revenue sharing purposes. Now, I'm talking about giving away samples. Queen, what do you see on your screen right now?
I see a garage with some vehicles in it, Tila Monk.
Oh, okay. Okay, now the reason we put that there is I want you to understand, when I'm talking about giving away samples, the companies that have figured this out the best, they don't require you and I, the affiliate or the promoter, to store up weight loss products or bids or whatever your company's product may happen to be, skincare. They don't require that you have to store that up in your garage or in your basement. Typically, the ones that have figured this out the best, you purchase essentially virtual inventory. You give away that virtual inventory in the form of giving someone a weight loss sample, and then the company's manufacturer sends the weight loss product or the skincare product or whatever the products that company happens to have. Some companies don't offer a physical product. They have more of a digital delivery. Maybe it's something dealing with travel, as an example. Okay, so now, I think we have enough to start to build on the foundation, because what you really want to know is, okay, what does this mean for my bottom line? And that's what we're going to talk about now. Give me just a moment. Give me just a moment. There we go. Okay. Now, so let's assume that you are with a company that has a model like this. Let me share with you how this works. I'm going to be primarily working from this whiteboard for the rest of the evening, and I'm going to share a number of true stories and testimonies of what we've seen over the past couple of years with this type model. Let's say your company generates $1 million a day in commissionable sales volume. It decides to share up to 50% of that, so it shares $500,000 that day with all of its qualified affiliates or promoters. Now, typically, again, to be qualified that day requires a couple, 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes of your time, depending on your company. Maybe if you now have a lot of points or a lot of credits, you may have a little bit more in terms of your requirement, but it's still very, very small in terms of your requirements based on what you can earn. Now, the company's going to take this $500,000 in this example, and it's going to divide that by all of the credits that are in the system. Understand there's going to be a lot of credits, a lot of points in the system. Why? Well, even on tonight's webinar, we've got people from the U.S. and Canada and Russia and Jamaica and Australia. And so as you have more and more promoters or distributors with your company, obviously that's going to, you're going to have a lot of people that's going to have a lot of points and credits over time. Give me just a moment. Let me make sure I've got my numbers there. Yeah, okay. So now, what happens here is, let's say there are 40 million points in your company system. So what the company would do is it would take the $500,000 that night, divide it by the 40 million credits, and it determines how much each credit or each point receives in your system. We call this a reward per. So if your company says you have credits, then this would be a reward per credit. If your company has points, this would be a reward per point, 0.0125. Now, Queen, let me do a little training here so that you protect your goose, your company, that lays the golden egg. You should never refer to this as a percentage. The reality is this is the same as 1.25%, but you never want to refer to that as a percentage. Why? Because most of the companies that have this model, even if they are not based in the U.S., many of their affiliates are. And the U.S., the United States, it's probably the most heavy-handed regulatory environment for the network marketing, the work-at-home space. But even if your company is based out of Ecuador, even if your company is based out of the British Virgin Islands, based out of Hong Kong, if it's doing business in the U.S. and it's got U.S. folks, you want to stay away from language that we know would be problematic when dealing with the U.S. regulators. So don't say percent. Don't say anything that has to do with banking or investing. So you're not saying things like compounding. You're not saying we earned 1.25% last night. You're not doing that, okay? In this example, we will just refer to it as reward per point, reward per credit. It's the same thing, but that difference in terminology could make all the difference in the world in terms of regulators looking at you with a funny look and regulators having no idea what a reward per point actually even means. Here we go. Let's go to work here, okay? So let's say you had 100 points in that company system. You got 100 points. Each point that night had a reward per point of 0.0125. You would have made in your company's reward $1.25. Now, some companies pay their reward in all cash dollars. Some companies pay their reward in additional inventory. There's one company, for instance, out there, they refer to theirs as bucks. So they pay you in their bucks, and their bucks is basically additional inventory. Now, for those companies that pay you in additional, the whole idea is that you get the inventory, you can give more away to generate more points. You can typically commission out. You can tell your system, I want a certain amount of my reward to go into cash and a certain amount to go into inventory. So right now I'm just going to say you earned $1.25, okay? All right, Queen, if you had 1,000 points, you would have earned, you're in the same company, that night the company's paying 0.0125 per point. You would have earned the same rewards per point, you just have more points. This is a compensation system of reciprocity. The more you give, the more you get. The more samples you give, the more points you get. The more samples you give, the more points you get. The more samples you give, the more opportunities customers are going to be introduced to your company, the more they may come and transact with your company more and more, and the company is going to reward you. The more you give, the more you get. Let's say you've got 10,000. You've got 10,000 points instead of 1,000. You're not any better than the person that's got $1,000 in points. You're not any better than the person who's got 100 points, but you just gave more. Maybe it's because you've been with the company longer. You've been there longer. Maybe you had a little bit more resources to buy more inventory earlier on. It doesn't matter because it's the same reward per point. And what we saw, Queen, is we saw people start off with 100 points, and in time they built up to 1,000 points, and in time they built up to 10,000 points. So those of you that maybe didn't start off with your company with 10,000 or 20,000 points, despise not the day of smaller beginnings. I'm going to share some powerful stories with you in the next few moments, and you're going to find yourself in one of the stories, I promise you, that I'm going to share. What if you got to 100,000 points? Queen, we saw this. We've seen this.
Yes, we have.
100,000 points. We've seen 200,000. We've seen 300,000. We've seen 500,000. What if you got up to 1,000,000 points? Queen, the reason I love this webinar is because I can't show what this would look like if I was doing a company-specific webinar, because the attorneys and the regulators would say, you're talking way too much money.
Yes.
And, you know, they don't think that we can handle it. But since I'm not talking about any specific company, well, I can't get any company in trouble. What if you had 1,000,000 points? Queen, we saw this. Wait. You're talking about that for the night? I'm telling you, we saw that, and we saw more.
Yes.
Every day can be what, Queen?
It can be payday, T. Lamont.
It can be payday.
Yes.
It can be payday. So I want you to understand, oh, you got it. It's all about the points. It's all about the credits. You want to grow your point totals. You want to grow your credit totals, because the more you grow your point and credit totals, then the more potential daily rewards you're going to receive. Let's share with you a couple of stories here. Let's share with you a couple of stories here. We had a young lady on our team. She's on tonight's webinar. Her name is Lynn. I absolutely adore Lynn. I've now known Lynn right at a decade. Met her in 2003. So right at a decade now. And we were in a company together. I wasn't on our team. She wasn't on mine. But we really hit it off. We really hit it off. And so we were what we would call cross-line. And, you know, she did everything. I mean, she came. If there was a conference call, she was there. She got the perfect attendance. She's gotten the perfect attendance award for 10 years now. Conference calls, she was there. Webinars, she was there. Offline events, she was there. Even when she couldn't afford to go to the offline event, because the offline event could have been halfway across the country, you go to the event and you know she's not making a lot of money, and guess who's there? Lynn's there.
Lynn's
there. Lynn was there. Now, the challenge that Lynn had is she had the same challenge that most people have. She had a challenge of building and maintaining a team. She would maybe recruit a few folks who would come aboard, but then it was, they weren't making a lot of money, and they would drop out in a week or 2 or 3, or maybe 2 or 3 months or what have you. And maybe she had a little team going, but she wasn't making a lot of money, and in many cases didn't make enough money to really cover her business expenses. If anybody can identify with Lynn's story, put a yes in your questions box. You can identify it. Fantastic. A lot of folks. Okay, here we go. A couple of years ago, we stumbled across this same type model that we're talking about, and Lynn joined with us in this particular model. And something amazing happened. She didn't get any better necessarily at recruiting a team. She didn't get any better necessarily at selling product. But a few months into the model, she was making enough. And by the way, you need to know, Lynn, when she first got started, didn't have a big budget. So she didn't buy $5,000 worth of product samples or $10,000 worth of product samples. Lynn purchased less than $100 worth of samples, because Lynn followed what we taught. We said purchase as many samples as your resources allow. Just don't hurt yourself. Well, that's what made sense for her financially. Lynn did recruit. Did the big huge recruiter, one dude. Lynn recruited one dude. Now I believe this gentleman made $1,000 product purchase when he came aboard. Okay. Lynn did not recruit anybody else beyond that. Neither did her recruit. Now, this is what blew me away. A few months into that particular business enterprise, Lynn was now making enough money, cash in hand, to make a car note. Now you think about a car note. For a lot of people, if you made $100 a week, $400 a month, you could pay a car note. A few months after that, Lynn was now making enough money, cash in hand, for a house note.
Okay.
This was probably within about a 12-month period, okay? Within an 18-month period, ladies and gentlemen, it was less than that, Lynn was making enough for a full-time income. She had gotten to the point where she, cash in hand, $1,000 a week, sometimes even more. Cash in hand.
Pretty good.
Well, pretty good. No. Let me tell you.
Oh,
okay?
no.
If you would have told me 19 years ago when I first got in this industry that there was an opportunity that if I could bring on a new person like Lynn,
yes,
and Lynn only referred one person, mind you, okay?
I got you.
And in 18 months, with less than $100 initial outlay from Lynn's pocket, Lynn could be at a point where she was putting cash in hand. I love this webinar. I get to tell the story. $1,000 a week?
Well, yes, that is a great income from $100. And now you're doing it without a job, but it's a full-time income.
Full-time income.
There you go.
Full-time income. Full-time income. Now, you know what? You're going to... Queen, if you are a guest tonight, you know what? You don't have a choice. You got to get back to the person who referred you. You got to join them. You got to get engaged in their particular business. You want to know why? Because you're going to hear me every night in your sleep. If you don't join that person and start earning money every day, you're going to hear me every night saying, well, Lynn made some money last night. How much did you make?
That's right.
2 months from now, Lynn made some money. How much did you make?
That's right.
6 months from now, Lynn made some money. How much did you make?
There you go.
Queen, powerful.
It is powerful.
Completely life-changing.
Yes.
Let's go a little bit further. Okay, so now, the best thing about these points or these credits is they have a fairly lengthy life cycle. So if you had 100 points, 1,000 points, 10,000 points or more, they don't just earn for a day or two. we've seen systems where points could earn anywhere from 60 days to maybe 80,
Yes.
to maybe 90, to maybe 100, maybe 105. The example I'm going to give you tonight is 90, because that was the company that we were involved in when Lynn generated, $1,000 a week after about less than 18 months into the business, was a company that their points earned for 90 days. There are companies now that points can earn for as much as 100 days or 105 days. Let's go with the 90 for right now. So let me share with you what this would mean. Let's say, Queen, that you started today and you had 10,000 points, okay? And your company paid you 0.0125, could be higher, could be lower. It's going to change every single day depending on the company's revenues, okay? So you earn $125 bucks in your reward that day, okay? Now, here's the beautiful part. That means that these 10,000 points, they earn not for just one night or 2 nights, they earn for 90 days.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, what we taught our team that was so successful for those who would follow it is this. We said, well, if you have a 90-day life cycle, your points are not retiring for 90 days, they earn for 90 days. How about those first 90 days, you do what we call momentum? Well, we really want to gain some steam on building up our point totals, building up our credit totals. What does that mean? Well, hey, Lynn, I know you earned $125 last night, and you could actually put that in your pocket if you want to, but this is what I want you to do, Lynn. Consider this. Take that $125 you just earned and buy some more inventory. Your company has some inventory that you can purchase, some samples, buy more samples, give those away. Why? So that tomorrow night you've got 10,125 points earning, not just 10,000. Oh. So now, if you took the same 10,125 as an example, and let's say the next night you earn 0.0123, okay, not as much as the previous night per point. Well, the next night you would have earned $124 dollars, and then so let's do this. So you earn $124. Excuse me. That's what I'm trying to do. So then that means the next night, if you gave those 124 samples away, the next night you got 10,249 points. So maybe the next night the daily reward was a little bit higher, 10,249. Maybe the next night it was 0.0132. And so now, Queen, you earned $135 the next night. And then you took that and you bought more inventory, so that by the time that you got to day 90, when your 10,000 points retired, you actually had a lot more points in the system. So even when some points retired, you still were well ahead of the game. Let me tell you another story. All right, so we had a buddy of mine named Romando. All right, again, I call this momentum. If your company has a 105-day life cycle to your points or credits, then you would refer to it as a momentum 105. If your company has 85 days life cycle to your points or credits, you would call this momentum 85. All right, so here's what happened. Romando, his company had a 90-day life cycle. We called it momentum 90. Now, Romando was in a slightly different position than Lynn. Romando had a few extra dollars, and so he was able to make a larger purchase out of the gate in terms of purchasing samples. He purchased $9,400 worth. So on Romando's first night, now he had to give away his samples to generate the points, but when he generated 9,400 points, I'm going to use my same example here. It could have been higher, could have been lower. All right, on Romando's first night, 9,400 points, earning 0.0125 per point, Romando earned something in the neighborhood of $117.50. And again, I'm using that one standard reward per point just for this example. It'll be higher or lower depending on your company and the days and so on and so forth. Okay, now here's what we did. We said, Romando, Momentum 90. Ramondo said, man, you built 4 7-figure businesses. I need to follow what you're telling me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, so he did that, and by the time he gets to day 90, he didn't have 9,400 points, Queen. He had 36,000 plus points.
Wow.
Okay? Now, on day 91, 90 days after his first points started living and started producing, on day 91, 9,400 of his points retired. Now, question, Queen, did the company take away 9,400 points?
No, they didn't.
No, okay. Did he lose 9,400 points?
No, he didn't.
No. The company did what the company said they were going to do. They said, Ramondo, that particular company said, Ramondo, if you place an ad each day, you'll be qualified for your rewards, and you'll earn for 90 days on any of those points that you generate. And so they did what they said they were going to do. So at the end, 36,000, take away the 9,400 points where they retired, he still had net after 90 days almost 3 times the amount of points in the system than what he started with. 26,600. I'll just raise it up to 27,000. So, Queen, look at the power of this. Look at the power of this, okay? If he earned 0.0125, and we know that number could have been higher, could have been lower, 3 months into it, at 27,000 points, Queen, instead of his revenue being $117 for that night, his revenue might have been something like $337.
All right.
Queen.
Yes.
He's placing an ad. He's giving away some samples. Are you getting me? You getting me? Okay.
Okay.
Now let me teach you another concept that we taught. Excuse me, another concept that we taught, and then I've got a couple more testimonies to give you. I haven't finished Ramondo's testimony, by the way. One of the other things that we taught was eventually what you want to do. There's 3 things you want to do, Queen. You want to replace points or credits that will retire. If you know that you're going to have points that retire in 105 days, you want to replace those in advance. If you know you're going to have points retire in 90 days or 85 days, you want to replace those in advance. Number 2, you want to grow your point totals or credit totals, because the more points you have, the more credits you have, the more revenue you're going to start earning on a daily basis. And then number 3, you want some cash.
Oh, yes.
So, Queen, I didn't tell Ramondo, hey, take 100% of your revenue each night and buy more inventory for the rest of your career. We said do that for maybe the first 90 days or the first 105 days, whatever that period is that you have no points retiring, so you can build some momentum. You can build some momentum. And then what we taught as our commission out strategy is what we called a 20-80 formula. What it says is that once you get to the point where you've got your points where you want them, and now you're ready for consistent cash, put 20% of your revenues and or commissions in your pocket. Let 80% go to purchase more inventory to give that away. And that ratio typically, I'm painting with a broad stroke, has been a great ratio so that you were able to replace points that retired, still grow your point totals while at the same time putting money in your pocket on a consistent basis. So now let's get back to Ramondo's testimony. So here we were. So Ramondo goes from 9,400 points to roughly 27,000 points in a 90-day period, and that's with his 9,400 points retiring. Okay. Ramondo said, well, you know what? I want to be aggressive and grow my point totals. So if he had taken 20% of his daily revenue as an example, if he had taken 20% of his daily revenue, that would have put him at about $67, $68 a day that he was requesting out in commissions. If you, it won't work perfectly like this, but if you looked at that over a 30-day period, if that was an average, that'd be about $2,000 a month. But Queen, you need to know, so in about a 90-day period, he was at a point that if he had executed our commission out strategy, he would have had a couple of $1,000s a month, cash in hand, still growing his point totals, and guess how many people he had recruited at that time? Not one. Not one. He had not recruited one soul. Well, he said, you know, I don't need $2,000 right now. I'd rather take a little bit right now and have more to build up my point totals because I want to get my point totals even higher. Oh, okay, all right. So now he's in roughly month 4, okay? First 90 days, he wasn't looking to request any commissions. Now he's past that 90-day period. And so this puts it at about month 4. And he decided to request $100 a week in commissions.
Okay.
That was about $400 a month. Okay. When month 5 came along, he decided to give himself a raise to about $150 a week.
Okay.
That was about $600 a month. Okay.
Yeah.
Month 6 comes along, and something happened. They called him in on his job and said, hey, we've got some challenges, and we have a couple choices. We can either lay some folks off, or we can have those folks take a pay cut. In effect, going back to what your levels were about 5 years ago. So all those, every year he would get a bonus, every year he would get raises. They basically were going to take back those raises and take back those bonuses. And so now he was at a point where, you know, he actually needed the extra money. So by the time month 6 comes around, he institutes our full 20/80 strategy. Queen, you want to know what that meant for him in terms of a weekly income? 6 months into it.
Tell me to the month.
$800 to $1,000 a week.
Wow. Okay.
And Queen, he was my poster. I don't want to call him a boy because he's a man. He was my poster dude. He was the one that I would hold up when someone would say, man, I'd love to do this, but I'm not good at recruiting and nobody wants to join me and I'm not good at sponsoring. I would say, hey, Ramondo, he hadn't sponsored a soul. Ramondo's doing about $800 to $1,000 a week. And guess what Ramondo did?
He told somebody to.
He messed it up. And he told somebody. And he told somebody, hey, I'm making $800 to $1,000 a week and I haven't recruited anybody. And that person said, man, Ramondo, if you can do it, I can do it too. That person joined. Then he told a second, he still didn't tell a lot of folks. He told a second person that same week, that second person, see, if he'd have told a third and the fourth and the fifth, then maybe we would have joined him too. But I want you to understand what happened here, Queen. This is the same Ramondo who was not good at recruiting, sponsoring, or selling. Because he started generating revenue, even though he hadn't recruited, he now had the confidence to tell folks, and he had something to tell them about. How many of you, questions box, open it up, let's be interactive. We're going around in third in here just a few moments. Have you ever had someone say to you, well, Queen, when you make money, then come see me? You came and you offered an income opportunity to them, and they said, well, I'll join you when I see you making money. Being a little smart, Alex. You want to smack one side of the head. I know you did.
Yeah. I
know you did.
They told me that to you. They told me that to your mind. Can you believe that? Somebody told me that to your mind.
You got hundreds of thousands of folks on Twitter, and they go, yeah, when you make money, well, he was making money. He was making money. And what we saw with this model, Queen, is you didn't have to make $800 to $1,000 a week. If you just told your story. We had people that would join, and the first night they made some money, and they would tell people, hey, I made some money. And that was enough for some of those. Let's give you a couple more testimonies, and we'll start rounding third. A couple more testimonies. All right, so I've given you the scoop and the training that I wanted to share with you on how this model works. Let's give you a couple other testimonies. I told you you would find yourself in one of the testimonies we would share. Now, oh, I'm sorry, I did not finish. There's one other thing I got to do. Okay, now, what happens if you happen to refer? I got to do this real quickly. What happens if you do refer someone and they come and join you in your business? Okay, well, they're going to want to purchase inventory themselves. And when they purchase inventory, you're going to get a commission. Let's use Ramondo in our example. You refer Ramondo. He made a $9,400 purchase. Depending on how your system is structured, we tend to see that you can earn as much as 10% commissions. So let's say you earn 10%, that system, you would have earned a 10% commission. You would have made $940. Very powerful, okay? Now, you could take that $940 and put that in your pocket as commissions. You could take that $940 and put some in commissions and purchase some more inventory yourself to generate more points by giving away your product samples, okay? Now, it doesn't stop there, though. And the reason it doesn't stop there is what happens when Romando starts earning on a daily basis. Every night that he's earning, and remember what we teach people. We teach people, even at the time that you're wanting to commission out, we teach people to keep 80% of what your earnings happen to be to purchase more inventory. What this does is this generates massive commissions. Let me give you an example. Let's go back here to Romando. Remember when Romando had 9,400 points in our example, he earned $117.50, and he was early on in the game, so he was taking all of that to buy more inventory. Well, if you had recruited Romando, you would have gotten another 10% override that night. You would have made $11.75 that night. And if he earned $120 the next night and used that as inventory, you would have earned $12 the next night. So when you got here 90 days later, Queen, and he earned $337.50, if he took all of that to purchase inventory that night, you got another 10% override. You earned $33.75 that night. Stop. Queen, what I had been used to for years was having a person join me in business, get on auto ship for the case of juice. The auto ship ran once a month. I got my $25 commission. You see why you got to have a large team in the traditional MLM space to make some money and why most people aren't successful? And now all of a sudden, I personally enrolled Romando, so I know these numbers. All right. All of a sudden, I'm making $11, $12, $13 a day when he got started in additional overrides. 90 days from then, I'm making $33, $34 a day. Just as one dude we're talking about. A few months down the road, I'm making $60, $70 a day in overrides from the production of one dude. Queen?
Yes.
Queen?
Yes.
Remember I told you we've seen folks that built point totals to 1 million? I had a dude that I referred built to 1.4 million points. Queen, if you do 0.0125 here, okay, 1.4 million points times 0.0125, you're talking $17,500 for the night. Well, he would typically, this gentleman, Brian, would typically earn about another $2,500 in commissions himself. Could you imagine he's making $2,500 in commissions because he had built a team, okay? So it was nothing for Brian. It was nothing, no thing for Brian to generate $20,000 in a night. When Brian got to that point, Brian was on a 20-80 commission strategy, so he would take 20% of that, put it in his pocket, $4,000 a night. But
every day.
He would take 80% of that and repurchase more inventory to replace the points that were retiring and to continue to grow his point totals. So, Queen, this would be a $16,000 transaction for the night. Could you imagine getting a 10% override on that for the night?
Yes, I can imagine.
Could you imagine one night's override being a house note? And you got 29 more days to go?
Exactly.
And it's growing because he's growing his point totals?
Yes.
That's
I like
what
that.
we saw. That's what we saw.
See,
that is what we saw. I got
no more monthly residual income, huh?
No, well, monthly. You stop cussing. Use that profanity.
Okay.
No, that's not monthly. It's not weekly. What is it, Queen?
It is daily, T. Lamont.
Which is why we say every day can be what, Queen?
It can be payday,
It
T.
can
Lamont.
be payday. It can be payday. We're just about finished. Just about finished. Got another couple testimonies, and we're just about finished. I'm going to give you a testimony of, which one do I want to go with? Lacey. Let's give you Lacey. Okay. Lacey joined me in June of 2011. When Lacey came to me, Lacey had 6 children, had been in the industry. The company that he was with, he was having mass attrition on his team, had a great company, great wellness products, but there was a lot of attrition because people were having a tough time. The economy had started turning south, and if it wasn't something that they had to have, you know, they weren't staying on auto ship, so people were dropping off. And if he was on a recruiting treadmill, he was having to, if his team brought in 100 new folks in the organization for the month, he maybe lost 97 from the previous month. I mean, it was tough. When he came aboard, he, like Lynn, didn't have a lot of resources. He made less than $150 purchase in inventory. Now, one thing that was a little bit different, though, is that he got the referral part. He understood the power of building the referral network. So he went right away, started building a very powerful referral network. Ladies and gentlemen, by June of 2012, these are real numbers. I know them because I was overriding them, okay? By June of 2012, Queen,
Yes.
Lacey had built his point total to just under 1 million.
Okay.
But he had a massive organization, and he was getting tremendous amounts of commissions as a result. Lacey was putting into his pocket, hear me, $50,000 a week.
That's pretty good.
12 months later, Queen.
Yes.
12 months later.
Yes.
50 grand a week. 200,000 a month. Lacey had never, now he'd make some good money in the industry, but I don't think he'd even made $200,000 in a year. Not that that's anything to scoff at. That's a great accomplishment. But 200, cash in hand.
Yes.
Cash in hand.
Yes.
Cash in hand.
So my question is, how many people do you want to tell, T. Lamont?
I'm telling the world. That's why we're doing webinars. Queen, and since you said that, we're going around third here. Here's the deal, Queen.
Yes.
You get with your company, whoever that is, all right? The person, you know, those of you who are invited here, you get with the person who invited you. And what I want you to do is I want you to go out, just like Lacey, with reckless abandon. And here's a business model, Queen, that you don't have to, you know, put 100% effort and energy for 10 years. No. If you would do it for 10 months, if you would do it for a year, it will take on a life on its own. Queen, my wife and I, one of the company, a company that we're promoting for was just launching, right? But we already had a very important 2-week out-of-the-country excursion. It wasn't just for fun. There was some very serious business that we needed to attend to. And so even though with my company that was just launching, it wasn't the best time for me to take that trip, but I didn't have a choice. But before we got to that point, Queen, we put everything we had for about 2 or 3 months in the pre-building stage. Man, we were blowing and going. We were doing webinars after webinars and conference calls after conference calls, so on and so forth. I go away. Now, we're only talking about 90 days of hard, 30, 60, 75 days of hard building before I go on vacation. It really wasn't a vacation, but some of it was.
Yeah, you got it.
Before I go out of the country, I come back in. Our company goes live with its daily rewards a week or so, just a few days after I get here. And Queen,
yes,
already, I won't tell you what the numbers are, but already, Queen,
all right,
already the income that we're generating from that 90 days of really going forward, already, Queen, would surpass most people in the industry that are considered top earners in the industry.
Oh, wow.
So when you join with the person and you join with, do you have to recruit to build a team and build a team to earn? No. But if you will get the word out, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to do, get them to this webinar next Wednesday.
Yes.
And gosh, I don't know what that link is. We've even recorded this and put it up on YouTube, this particular presentation, so we'll make sure that you get that as well. All right, so this is what you need to do is we're around third. We're past our time here. I won't apologize because I want you to make some money. Number one, I want you to get back to the person that referred you. Join them in whatever enterprise that has this type model that they are in. And Queen, there's more than one company. Thank goodness. We want to see several companies that have this model that win. All right. Really, to
Yes.
be honest with you, I'm not in all the companies that have this model. I am
No.
focusing my energies on one, but I want to see all the companies that have this model win. I want to see them win big. It helps us all. So get back to the person who referred you. Find out what company or companies that they are leveraging. They'll send you their links. Go on and register right away. Secondly, once you register, you'll be able to register for free. Then you're going to want to log in, and you're going to want to upgrade. Now, typically with your upgrade, you're going to choose a monthly subscription, and you're going to buy some inventory. Now, your company may have multiple monthly subscriptions. We typically see companies that have 3 or 4 different options. One is a lower option, $10, $15 a month. Then one is a mid-range option, maybe about $50 a month. Some companies top out at like a $100 a month option. Some companies go up to $200 or $250. Purchase the monthly subscription, the highest one that your resources will allow you to purchase.
Yes.
You eventually want to get to the top monthly subscription. If it's $100 a month, you want to get there. If it's $200 a month, you want to get there. If you can't start there, get as close to it as you can, and then as you start generating revenues, let your profits allow you the chance to upgrade. The great thing about this type model, Queen, is that most people in 90 to 120 days, if not but 30 to 120 days, they're making enough revenue to cover their ongoing monthly subscription so it doesn't become a bill to them.
Absolutely.
Then you want to purchase as much inventory as your resources allow. If your company allows you to purchase $1,000 worth of inventory and you can do that, then do that. If they allow you to purchase $2,500, $5,000, and you've got those resources, then do that. Queen, just raise your right hand and agree, pledge to me that you will not hurt your family.
I will not hurt my family.
Do not go and purchase inventory with money that you need to pay bills, or you need to. Please don't do that. Okay, this is not an investment. This is not one of those. This is not a high yield investment program. None of those kinds of things. We're not blowing the die and baby need a new pair of shoes and seeing if we hit the no. We're building a business. Building a business.
Yes, we are.
Last thing I want you to do.
Building a business.
Is I want you to tie into your teams and your company's training. So tie into your team or your company's training. Tie into your team or your company's training so that you can get all of the nuances of your particular company. One of the things I strongly suggest that you do, and we'll end with this, we'll open up, we'll take a few optional questions and answers. We're not here to answer questions about any specific companies because we're being generic tonight, but if you've got questions about this model, we'll be more than happy to assist you. What you want to do is, even though it doesn't normally take you a lot of time to complete your company's task in order for you to earn your daily revenue, I want you to treat this like a business. Queen, one of the reasons we've been successful is because we put time into our business. Now, you may not have a lot of time. If you've got 10 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day or 30 minutes a day, I want you to block off an amount of time per day, every day, until you have learned the nuances of your company. A lot of times in your back office, you can go in and there might be some training videos your company has. You can learn just about how to navigate your back office. Where do you go for this? Where do you go for that? That's going to help you in your confidence. That's going to help you should you have folks that join you in your business to provide better support for them. The more support they have, the more they're going to be engaged in your business, the more you're going to make in terms of your overrides, so on and so forth. All right, so take that 10 or 15. You know your schedule. You schedule it out. And, Queen, if I'm setting aside 15 minutes a day, I'm being true to that 15 minutes. I'm not answering the phone during that 15 minutes. Let the voicemail get it. That's what it's for. I'm not answering a text message. I'll text them back after my 15 minutes, after my 30 minutes. Treat it with the same respect that you would treat a job. And if you want to know one of the reasons why we've been successful in this industry is because we gave our business at least the same respect, really a lot more, than what we would give when I was delivering pizzas at 6400 East Independence Boulevard, Charlotte, North Carolina, when I bumped into this industry in 1994, and later 921, I think it was, South Main Street, Curtisville, North Carolina, Queen, and I was at Papa John's in 1999 driving a 1988 Hyundai that smoked, but that's another story. Okay, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we love each and every one of you. Let's open it up for some optional Q&A. We'll take a few minutes here. Again, we're only dealing with generics here, nothing that's company specific. Give me a moment here. I've explained it as. Okay, someone is saying, hey, I've explained the reward per point like this. I've said, well, interest is fixed, but our reward per point will fluctuate day by day based on the company revenue. And you've got a good point, but you know what I would say? I would stay away, even in your conversation when you're talking about this. I wouldn't even say interest. I wouldn't compare it. There is no comparison when you talk about your rewards per point. But the concern I would have if you're saying to someone, hey, interest is fixed, but our rewards per point fluctuate from day to day based on the revenue of that day. That latter part is absolutely true. What I would be concerned about, Queen, is someone construing that since you said interest and you brought up a banking or an investment term, that they construe it as an investment and not as a business.
Right.
So
that's exactly
I would stay away. Joyce, I'm proud of you, but I would stay away. I would stay away from any terminology that has banking or investment-related references. Even if you're promoting a company that's not based in the U.S., even if you yourself, I know we've got some Russians on the webinar, we've got some Australians on the webinar, we've got some Jamaicans on the webinar. Even if you are not in the U.S., I'd stay away from that language. Why? Because chances are the company that you are promoting, they have a strong presence, though they may not be licensed, or though they may not have their operations in the U.S., chances are they have a lot of their representatives or distributors in the U.S., and that language in the U.S. becomes potentially problematic. Anything related to banking or investing becomes problematic. I like where you're going with that, Joyce. I would just modify that a little bit, not to talk about interest or anything like that, okay? Give us just a moment. In a moment. Wow. Lynn was saying, listen to what Lynn said. She said, what an awesome feeling it was to walk into a credit union and pay off a loan with one chunk. Lynn was the young lady that we referred to who got to the point where she's cash in hand was generating $1,000 a week. I didn't even talk about Cynthia and her husband. Cynthia and her husband and children, they great people. And Queen, during the 2008 crisis, where real estate levels, just plummeted, and the place where they were, they probably lost about 50% of the value of the home. Had a tough time of it financially, and it really didn't make sense from a financial perspective for them to stay in the house because they owed a lot more than what it was worth, and plus they were having some financial challenges. And so they actually moved out of the home, worked out something with the bank, moved out of the home. They had to wind up going to a less than desirable neighborhood, much smaller house, wasn't the best neighborhood, but they had to do what they had to do. Right. They were with this type model for about 16 or 17 months. In that 17-month time frame, Queen, they found another house, hear me, paid for it with cash.
So I won't be losing another one, right?
Someone asks, when points retire, do I lose my points? No, you didn't lose anything, but yes, your points retire. Let's give you the example again. So, Ramondo had grown his point totals to about 36,000 points. They started off initially at 9,400. 90 days later, they were roughly at 36,000. Now, at the end of those 90 days, or 91, really like on day
Day,
91.
day 91.
All right, 9,400 did retire.
That's right.
He didn't lose anything. He didn't lose anything. I think words mean a lot. All right, he didn't lose anything. Did 9,400 retire? Yes.
Yes.
But he didn't lose him because the company did what the company said they were going to do.
He
So
earned.
this is how I look at it. He was roughly at 27,000 at the end of 90 days. So this is how I look at it. Not that he lost anything, but that net, he was up almost 3 times the amount of points that he started with. Net, he was way ahead because he only started with 9,400.
That's
okay?
right.
So yes, the points do retire. The credits do retire. Did you lose them? No.
No.
Did the company take them from you?
No.
Do you need to understand that
Yes.
points are going to retire? And
Yes.
Queen, this is what happens. All right. So on 9,400 points, let's say he earned $117.50 based on our just example that we were showing.
Yes.
Okay. So on day 91, 9,400 points retired. 90 days after he started on the first day. On day 92, guess what retired, Queen? 117 points.
That's right. Right.
All right, but
He
he
earned
like 300 and something in revenue that night.
So
the 300 and something he earned in revenue more than compensated for the 117 that retired. This is why we teach you that concept of the 2080, where we say, hey, the first 90 days or 105 days or 85 days, whatever your company pays, build your point totals up, momentum, and then when you're ready for consistent cash, here's the formula that we've seen that worked for the most part across the revenue sharing companies. There are some companies that maybe may not work for if their daily rewards aren't as high, but any of you that are following us or what have you, your daily rewards have been higher than what I showed of 0.0125. Okay. Great question. Now, great question. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Okay. Say it to me. Okay.
Somebody says daily pay.
All right. Someone says, no one believes me. And this was probably when we were asking a question. Has anyone ever said to you, hey, when you start making money, then come and tell me? Here's the beautiful thing. Now, let me tell you, again, you don't want to put your company at risk by doing things that are non-compliantly. So, Queen, notice this particular webinar, because I shared stories, I did not mention a company's name.
That's
the reason I didn't do so is because if I had shared these stories in a public setting like I'm doing, because this is a public setting, I don't know a lot of you that have come onto the webinar. I see the names, but I don't know a lot of you. This would be like me doing a hotel presentation, a lot of guests there, okay? In a public setting, Queen, if I was talking about a specific company, I couldn't share these type stories unless I gave people what's called an income disclosure statement.
Right.
Outside of giving an income disclosure statement, that would be non-compliant and could get my company in trouble because they could come back, the regulators could come back and say, hey, he's making income claims.
Yes.
Okay. Now, so in public, I'm never going to, on the webinar, I'm never going to go into my back office, Queen, and show you the money that I made.
Right.
If I'm talking to you one-on-one, though, we're going to have a conversation. And if you say, hey, did you make, yeah, I made some money. Okay. Once again, though, you got to I won't do that in a public setting. So this is what I would say, and I'm addressing someone who said, well, nobody believes me. You get started with whomever got you to this webinar. You purchase as much inventory as your resources allow. If you've got a lot of resources, purchase a lot. If you don't have a lot of resources, purchase what your resources allow. Get as high of a monthly subscription as your resources allow. Make sure that you're qualified daily to earn daily. And you'll start earning daily. And Queen, the beautiful part is you don't even have to earn a lot to be able to share your story. And then another thing that you can do, Queen, find out some of the success stories in your company, because here's the result. When you're with a company that has a model like what we've discussed tonight, you are in effect overriding the entire company. So, Queen, if I was in your company, whether I referred you or not, as you go out and you build your business, I'm overriding you. Why? Because as you help bring revenues to the company, I share in a piece of the revenues of the entire company. So this is what I would have you to do. Even if your story right now isn't as compelling as you would like it to be, learn some of the success stories in your company. Queen, I know the company that you promote for, and I already know someone in just the first 3 days that your company has started paying revenue. I already know you got somebody on your team, even though you may not have referred them because they're in that company, they're already generating over $500 a day. Learn some of those testimonies. Hey, I've got a teammate already generating over $500 a day. Didn't say I recruited them, but we're all a part of the same team because everybody in that company helps to generate revenue for the company, and we all share in it. So find some testimonies. Find out the person who's enrolling you. Find out what's going on for them. Leverage that testimony. Find out what's going on with their leader or with their or other leaders in that company, and share their testimony until you have one that's compelling enough to share. Okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Someone is asking, what's the better move to start with? More inventory or a higher subscription? You know, that's a very tough question because I don't know what company you're talking about, and I don't know what amount you're talking about in terms of your purchase. The structure of your company may determine some of that. For instance, let me give you an example, Queen. I know of a company that your rank with that company determines how long your points earn. So if you this particular company, if you have a $15 a month subscription, your points earn for 80 days. But if you've got a $50 a month subscription, your points earn for 85 days. That extra 5 days can be monumental. And plus, if you had a $50 subscription versus the 15, if you happen to refer others, your commission rate is higher. So in many cases, with that particular company, I would tell folks, purchase as large of a monthly subscription as your resources allow, even if you had to sacrifice some of your inventory to get started. But it's really hard to make a broad stroke answer to that, okay? So what I would have you to do for Terry is get back with the person and whatever company that you're in. Some of the companies that I'm aware of that have this type model, they'll have Skype chat rooms or they'll have Facebook fan pages where you can connect not only with your enroller, but maybe with some of the other top leaders in the company, and maybe they can give you a little bit more guidance than what I'm able to give you because I'm not talking necessarily company specifics, okay? Give me a moment. Dusty is asking about this webinar. Will you be able to promote with this webinar? The answer to that, I've loaded it up on, let me see. I've loaded this up on a YouTube. I don't think it's on another platform just yet. I tell you what, though, we should have this on another platform in the next few days. Let's give it a week, and then hopefully by the time we come next week, not only will we have a YouTube, because I don't know what the YouTube link is to give to you, we have recorded this same type presentation so it can be used 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Another thing that we are strongly looking at doing, we did a presentation before we went out of the country, Queen, and we did a little poll, and from the poll, people really loved the way we were able to present this information in much more of an unfiltered way, but still not get any company in any trouble from a compliance standpoint.
Right.
And so what we actually plan on doing, I still need a few weeks before we get this done. What we plan on doing is I plan on going into a professional studio in front of cameras and doing a shorter version of this presentation, because I don't want to spend an hour. That's a lot of money. But doing a shorter version of this presentation, but still getting the main point across, so that this presentation could be shared online, or we might even have it to where we DVD it as well. I'm not promising that. We may be able to do that. So if you want to have maybe like a home party, if you want to do that, you just want to send someone a link, you can do that. We're seeing that certain people like to build online, certain people like to build offline, certain people like to do a combination of the two. Our role is this: if we help you get people locking into this model, no matter what company you may be promoting with. You may not promote with the same company I'm promoting with, but we know that if your company is strong, whether it's our company or not, it helps. What is it? The tide lifts all boats, or high tide lifts all boats, or something like that. We want, just like Queen, when we showed that chart and we showed Amway, and we
Yes.
showed Mary Kay, and we showed Avon. I'm not an Avon or Amway or Mary Kay, but because Avon is an $11 billion company and they've been around since 1886, because Amway is a $9.2 billion company and they've been around since 1959, I'm able to use those stories of those companies to help me build my company.
Right.
So we want to see all companies that embrace this model do very well. So we will be doing something that will be a very strong presentation source for you that will work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and potentially even work offline as well. Okay?
Yep.
Give me a moment. Renee, I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. But you were asking a company specific question, and I don't know why that happened, but that will reappear. I'm laughing because it's amazing to me how many people have asked me about that over the past day or so. Don't worry about that. That's coming back. I don't know why that went away. It was probably just a little programming error, something they were working on. Okay. Give me a moment. I tell you what, I don't want to do that because that's company specific. Tell you what, next week, guys, we'll be back here next week, same time. We should have a Everyday Can Be Payday webinar on a platform that's not YouTube that you'll be able to use 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we plan to get that done by this time next week. With that being said, it looks like we've gotten all the questions that I can see answered. Lawrence, I see you. I will get to you in Skype tomorrow, buddy. It's been a very long day. I've barely seen my wife, so I'm going to get off the webinar. I'm going to spend a little time with my wife before I call it a night. Lawrence, I'll be back with you in Skype on tomorrow. I will do this real quickly. If you want to get access to that Everyday Can Be Payday webinar that we have loaded up on YouTube, I just don't know what the YouTube channel is. I'm sorry, I don't know what the YouTube link is. If you will hit me on,
someone put it here, but you would have to type everything.
Yeah, if you'll hit me on Skype, now here's the deal. This is what I want you to do for me, okay? If you are a guest, you are joining the person that brought you to this webinar, whatever business they are in. So I'm getting ready to put my Skype address here. If you hit me back on Skype and you say, hey, I was on your webinar and I want to join you in whatever your business, that's not how we do business. Because if I didn't get you here, you don't join with me, okay? So, and the only reason I put this up here, Queen, is because a lot of people do webinars and they don't necessarily do the right thing with the following.
Right.
We believe in building with character and integrity. I'm giving you my Skype for those of you that want to have the YouTube link where we've already posted the recording of this Everyday Can Be Payday until we have it on another platform, okay? All right, my Skype is GIF-PM. What you need to do is you need to say, hey, I was on that Everyday Can Be Payday webinar and I would like that link that I can distribute to others, okay?
Yes.
If you are a guest and you Skype me, you're only Skyping me for that. You're getting back to the person that referred you to this webinar to join them in whatever enterprise they're in. We do business right, And Queen, this is one of the reasons why we built 4 7-figure businesses, because we do business right. With that being said, we love each and every one of you. Let's change the world together, starting with yours. And remember, every day can be what, Queen?
It could be payday, T. Lamont.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
So that's it for now. If you have any questions, please get back to the person that shared this video with you, or you can send a support ticket from your JubiRev back office. Thank you. We look forward to hearing of your success.